Hello, it's Chaplin73 here. Thank you for joining me again for another interview. I'm here today with Stacie Clark. Hello, Stacie. How are you?
Hi, Darren. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, no worries. I'll jump straight in with the first question, Stacie, so that you get a chance to tell people who are you, what do you do, and where are you based?
Great. Yeah, so my name's Stacie. I'm based in Cornwall, same place as you, Darren. And on one hand, I am a coach. So I work for an organisation here in Cornwall called Quiet Connections. We work with people who are quieter or those who are wearing extroverted masks and help them to ease anxieties and feel more comfortable and quietly confident in their quieter selves. And on the other hand, I love to crochet, I love to paint. Sometimes the two go together and I bring aspects of that into my coaching practice and the people that I'm working with. I have a background in art and design, predominantly in fashion design. I worked for a number of years with a number of independent designers, and yeah, I think just in general, I have a huge passion for creativity and for art and for crafts and just making things with my hands. And yeah, there's just a huge love and appreciation there. And I think I'm mostly drawn to that aspect of the creative process and how that can work with our well-being and help us, like, support us in our personal development and our personal growth and all things like that. So yeah, the two kind of really like go together for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it many times before. You know, the creativity for me helps me a lot in my personal well-being, and you know, it's something that I do and I feel I need to do rather than just want to do. So what or who inspired you or influenced your style and what you do? What made you choose like the crochet side of things and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I was trying to reflect on that actually and realize that I don't actually pay a lot of attention to other textile artists, which I found actually quite weird. But I'm very like interested in looking at like poets and abstract artists. I find a lot of inspiration, I think, in that. I like to bring aspects of words and poetry into my crochet in any way. So I think that's quite inspiring. I really like, I think, emerging artists and actually quite undiscovered people. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's like a relatable aspect there. And plus I like to see the development of people's like own creative processes and stuff as well. So I can't really name any kind of big people that I feel like have really inspired me, but a couple of say painters on Instagram would be like Flora Bowley or like Laura Horn. I love their abstract paintings and like the whole intuitive aspect of the creative process, I think, is what mostly inspires me. And I like to kind of try to bring elements and aspects of like the poetry and the abstract art and those kind of aspects into a more like refined crocheting process.
Yeah, I'm the same. Obviously, I do poetry, but I also do painting, and kind of like a lot of my paintings have got words in them, and I like that side of, you know, the word side of things, and I've always been drawn towards like the graffiti type art because people do use a lot of words and sayings and slogans and whatever, and that whole advertising and pop art and stuff has always rung well with me. You know, it's kind of you know, that's kind of the art that I've been drawn towards, rather than the classical side of painting, which you know is part of, probably because I just like words and I like poetry.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm a nerd for actually looking up the origins of words and really getting into like what each word really means and like where that word stems from. So like if we take create, for example, like that word originally means like to grow, and I just think that's so kind of poetic in itself, that it's all about our human ability to be able to take something like in its other form and be able to like transform it and manipulate it and grow it into something new. And I think that, you know, as that translates into like tangible art or like the practicalities of actually making something, but also how that kind of mirrors like us as humans and just our ability to keep growing and evolving. And improving ourselves and all that sort of stuff. I just, yeah, love that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm a bit nerdy about language. I did when I a few years ago, when my eldest daughter was quite young, she had some friends around, and they were talking about something, and they mentioned a word, and I said, I don't know what that means, and I got in and got the dictionary and looked it up, and they were like, what are you doing? I was like, I need to know what that means. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know what it means, so I need to look it up. I'm an adult. This is what you do. You look up, and they were like, why are you looking at a dictionary? You know, and it's kind of like, I just felt I needed to know. Once I discovered the word, I needed to know what it meant and why, you know, why it was used in that context or whatever, which you know, it has always been something that, you know, has appealed to me with regards to the English language. The English language I find absolutely, you know, fascinating. You know, the use of words, and obviously, you know, with self-help and stuff like that, coaching that you do, words are hugely important. The words we say to ourselves, the words we say to each other, the words we use to express ourselves are hugely important.
Absolutely, very revealing.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm an NLP practitioner, so a lot of what I'm looking for actually is language patterns that people are using, and being able to like interrupt those or bring those to their attention of like, this kind of mirrors like some internal representation of what's going on beneath. And I think again, like if you're looking at poetry as well, the words that a person uses, or reading novels or whatever, that it's very revealing of their own kind of inner landscape of what they're experiencing. It's fascinating, I think, to start picking apart and start working with.
Definitely. So what impact do you feel art and creativity has on your well-being, and in what way?
On mine, so for me, it's a really integral part of how I care for myself and how I nourish myself. In fact, actually, that was the main thing that I think I took away from my time at uni when I was doing my fashion degree, was that it was something that really helped me with exploring who I was and getting to know who I am, and having that time just, I think, for reflection and for contemplation. So a lot of my crochet practice that I still do today is really centered around actually reflective time and being able to sit with myself. I attended a virtual conference a couple of months ago, and there was a speaker there who was talking about this double-edged sword of mindfulness, and there was something that he said that just made me go, that's why I crochet, or like that's what I experience when I crochet. And he was talking about how, like, when you start doing like meditation practices or mindful practices, that for some people that can be quite challenging, because when you start trying to go still inside, you go directly to the places of like pain or the hurt or the trauma. And so there's an aspect there of like, if you can like consciously distract your kind of rational brain, and for me, I do that kind of with crochet, and it creates like a larger window of tolerance to be able to explore those things without kind of re-traumatizing yourself. So as he was kind of saying all this, I was actually crocheting at the time, and I was just like, that's exactly what I do. And I thought that was so amazing, that actually there's a really valuable skill there to be able to, you know, use that as a really good tool to start exploring your inner world and be able to process, you know, unresolved emotions or transform past experiences. And for me, I feel like a lot of that is what I'm kind of aiming to really work into everything that I create. So yeah, it's hugely valuable for me, and I'm just love seeing other people kind of using it in that way as well, or discovering how they might be able to start using that as part of their own like growth and healing processes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite interesting that recently things like colouring books have become sort of like almost seen as sort of like a therapy. It's almost like that cognitive behavioural therapy type activity where you're repetitively doing something and it's grounding you in that moment, which takes your mind off the other things that you might be, you know, using your mind for, that probably aren't as you know, helpful as they should be. So yeah, I mean, I think it's quite obvious that, you know, creativity has that place and really needs to be used more and utilized more, because I feel that we're all creative as children. We all create, we all grab paints, we all splat it on paper, but we're told, you know, that's not how you paint, this is how you paint, and you're supposed to use these colors and you're supposed to do these shapes, etc. And the rigidity and the structure of art lessons at school actually probably puts off 50% of the population from being creative. So it's really interesting that like as an adult, I've re-explored that again. And quite recently, I've been doing an abstract April this month, which I've been, you know, creating abstract stuff, which I haven't done for ages, you know, and it's been quite nice just throwing stuff down and just seeing where it goes. And you know, it's that creative play, isn't it? Which sometimes we forget how to do as adults.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, like if we go back to the origins of the word create, like it's got nothing to do with, you know, skill or artistic talent. It's about our ability to be able to transform things and turn them into something new, which all of us are capable of. Like it's innate within us. There's nothing to counteract that.
yeah, absolutely. So what advice would you have for somebody who wanted to become an artist or do art or create in some way? What advice do you wish you were given? Was there advice that you were given that you wish you'd listened to, or any that you wish you'd ignored? That you know, advice is great, but sometimes it's the wrong advice.
I think really what you just touched on, that to play. I think like if you want to start making art or doing things like that, then the best place to start is with a sense of playfulness and experimentation, and just allow yourself to explore. I know for me, it was that aspect that really held me back, and sometimes still does get in the way, is when I feel like things need to be perfect and that I need to get things right the very first time, or you know, I expect myself to be able to do something that I've never done before. And I forget to bring in that aspect of playing, or of just exploring and experimenting and just seeing what happens. So I always feel like that is the best place to start, and maybe you need to give yourself permission to be able to do that. But I think with myself also, you know, the last couple of years I've actually taken myself away from being quite public with the things that I've been creating, because I really wanted that private space to be able to just create for myself for a while, to see actually what is it that I'm drawn to, what is it that I want to create, without any of those kind of fears or influences of like what other people's opinions are. So if you feel like that is something that would also be helpful, just to allow yourself that space to be able to make mistakes and create ugly pieces and things that don't work, without that feeling of, you know, people are going to judge it, then I would absolutely recommend to just start with creating for yourself, with the purpose of it just being because you enjoy it.
I think we quite often forget that in this day and age. Obviously we're surrounded by social media. You've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got whatever, you know, and there's lots of platforms that we can put our work on and it will be judged. So we kind of shy away from that experimental play stuff because we're frightened of being judged poorly for you know, not having skills. Like you say, you know, I think as artists and creative people, we kind of expect to be good at stuff when we first try it, and sometimes we're really not.
I know.
I'm still looking for the thing that I'm good at, but it's kind of, you know, I just get on with doing stuff that I can kind of get away with doing and have some level of skill in. But yeah, it's finding those other things as well, and being brave enough to try those other things, which sometimes you have to really push yourself to do.
I find myself like, because like painting is something that's quite new to me. I've only been doing it for about 2 years now, and every time I'm at the canvas, I hear myself talking to myself like, just be bold, just pick up a brush and just slide it on, see what happens. And it is terrifying. Like, it feels really scary, and it's there's a lot of anxiety and stuff there, but it also feels so freeing afterwards when you're just like, I'm just playing. Like, you know, it doesn't need to feel so serious, I think. And at the same time, like, it's very easy to fall into feeling like it's all very serious. But yeah, I think it's to me, the play aspect is just the most important part, and the reason why I do it as well. It's my playtime.
yeah, and it's great to just have a bit of fun, isn't it? It's you know, enjoy the process rather than the product, which you know, quite often we focus on the end result rather than the actual how we got there, you know. And sometimes you take a painting, for instance, with painting, you know, you take a painting and you take it through a process, and the end result isn't what you expected it to be, but actually somewhere along the line you were really enjoying that process, you know, and then you probably took it just that little bit too far and ruined it or whatever, you know, which I've done with many paintings. You know, you go back to it and you put a bit on, and then you think, oh, I really shouldn't have put that bit on, you know. So it's like, well, yeah, but that is part of the process, and it's part of, you know, that play bit, that experimentation, you know.
I find that when I'm doing crocheting as well, because I very rarely will I very rarely use other people's patterns in general, so everything that I create has come from like my own patterns. And even though I have my own pattern there in front of me, as I'm crocheting, I quite often end up changing the pattern as I'm going, so it never stays the same as like what I intended to start out with. It always gets changed, or I'll make a mistake somewhere, and rather than try and fix it, I'll just adapt it instead and work with it. So I think, yeah, you just gotta allow it to grow and evolve like as it wants to in that process.
Yeah, definitely. We've come to the final question. So what is in store for the future? Do you have any planned future projects that you could share with us today?
I think just personally, I am working on crocheting some poems at the moment. Some are my own, some are other people's that they've offered or like gifted to me to be able to use their words and crochet them. I'm playing around at the moment with learning how to do like line drawings and like really reduced abstract landscapes of just like colors and stuff, with the intention of them being able to translate them into crocheting. So they need to be quite basic and simple to be able to crochet them. It's all going terribly at the moment, but we'll see where it goes. And yeah, I think there is a future project in store with Quiet Connections as well, at some point in the future, but I can't reveal anything about that.
You've dangled that bit now that's got our intrigue just the right amount.
Fingers crossed. Back in maybe in 6 months or so, and we'll see what's happening.
Yeah, well, people can check out, you know, Quiet Connections and follow you on social media and stuff anyway to find out what's going on. If you send me some links across, I can stick them below this video, and people can just click on them below and find out what they want to know. So I'll be able to watch this space. Well, thank you for spending the time with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for, you know, sharing your thoughts on creativity. Always good to talk to a fellow creative.
Thank you. It's been lovely talking to you. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. And if you like what you've heard today and what you've seen today, please hit the subscribe button below. Subscribe to my channel. I'll be interviewing many artists over the coming months, weeks, years, whatever. And yeah, you can tune in here on my channel and check out many different artists. Thank you for spending the time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.